Hi, everyone.
Woohoo!
Ah. Oh, hi, Angie. Hey, Space. Hi, everyone that's here. Yeah, we're gonna have a wonderful hour talking about New England versus Old England weather. I'm joking.
Yes.
I'm joking. Uh, Hi, Emery. Yeah, so today is very exciting for us all because after many amounts of time working and preparing and concepting, we've finally released our super awesome, amazing update. My husband thought of the pun. Um, yeah, prompting system update. If you logged into Novelcrafter in the last 20 minutes, you might have seen something that looks like this, with a very quick, kind of 3 minute video, kind of giving a super speedy, like overview of what we're introducing. But we're going to take this time in this live to go over things in a little bit more detail, just to show you how things work. And then there's also going to be some kind of shorter 8 to 10 minute videos on each individual component of the update coming out next week. We're just editing those at the moment. So yeah, hopefully um, you can take stuff away from this and just get to know things. Um, Space is everyone's hero. Like, we can hardly believe that she is real. Corey, just making your face big then. But yeah, so I think what our plan is we're gonna kind of tell you a little bit about the why and then go into everything and then make a prompt using the new system. Um, if you have any questions at all, I mean, I understand it's 20 minutes since the release. You've not really had time to play around with it. But as you're looking at everything, if you have any questions, let us know and we will answer. And yeah, it's just going to be, a whole lot of fun. Do you have anything to add, Corey, before we start?
No, no. It's been so much fun working on this over the last
Yeah.
couple of months. It's just amazing to be able to share it with everybody finally.
Yeah, no, it's been. You've probably noticed in times in streams where I've been going to the wrong place to click on stuff, and that's because I've been using both the old and the new at the same time. Oh yeah, no, don't worry, I will cover converting old prompts. But yeah, so where we kind of came about with this update was that when a lot of you start, and to be fair, when we started out using Novelcrafter and in the development, um, it may be that you've only used AI for a short amount of time, or you just kind of want to get writing straight away. You're like, okay, I know about AI. I don't want to have to think about all the stuff in the background. But you also wanted to know what you were sending to the AI and make sure that you're in control. So you don't want to you're like you want to know what you're sending and what's happening, but you don't want to think about the anything that's remotely resembles maths. Um, but you also wanted to be able to instruct precisely in English or your native tongue and not have to think about what you're putting where. Um, there was also the constant desire, and trust me, we all had that desire as well, for more context, to be able to add in multiple scenes at a time, entire chapters or acts instead of just one scene at a time. We also wanted to control what scenes are included in the outline. Like if you're writing a his or her story, you might be like, well, I want the outline of his story, but he doesn't know anything about the stuff that she's up to in chapters 3 to 11. So exactly, we're authors, not coders. Except for the authors that are coders, because we have those as well in the community. um, and it also it might be that we wanted to add in codex entries or snippets without having to mention them by name or go into prompt settings, and we just want to click and add. That was what we want, click and add. I think a lot of us also we were fed up with always having GPT-4o mini at the top and the general purpose prompt, and sometimes we just want to have our preferred prose prompts to be now one click away rather than having to search things. And yeah, so we have kind of like rehauled the prompting system, not just in chat, but also in the write interface. And we're going to go through a little bit about each of these. So we had this come up. So watch the video if you want, and then if you go and read more, that takes you to a blog post of the changelog, which is like, pretty darn long, but it's also good background knowledge of everything. So we're going to go into prompts. You notice a lot of yellow. Don't worry. Everything is fine. Everything is totally fine.
Trust us.
So because things have changed a little bit, you do need to update your prompts. However, you don't need to think about updating your prompts. You can just click a button. That's the good news. So you can click, just upgrade, or you can go into like a prompt and just be like, okay, well, in the instructions, you can see nothing changed there. Okay, scene title, that was fine. Here, what changes? Okay, so that's something that I'm missing in there. But you can then see things start going. So there, you can see scene point of view change to point of view. Context selection changes to message. So for those of you who already have prompts, you can just do this, and you can even just go on like the one click update all, and you don't have to think about things. But of course, there is a lot of other things. So you will have also noticed when we were there, we have this new home screen. So what's going on with that? So here we have a bit of a quick access panel along with a few other things. So you can see, you'll see prompts that you've recently used. Obviously, this is like in the session that you're in currently. So I've not done any prompting yet. Last modified. So if you're editing prompts or like doing a couple of variations. Okay, so yeah, Angie says I updated about 200 prompts and only had 2 to 3 errors to fix. There you go. So, and if you're using prompts made by other users, usually they'll post updated versions, like say like Drunk Claude and things. I'll post a new version of that up, like this weekend or something. We have change your defaults, so defining your prompts and settings for the AI. We have get more from the hub, which is coming soon, and that might be a very nice quick way of you all getting prompts. And Corey and I may or may not have been spending many hours making prompts and presets and personas for y'all.
Yeah, we can't say officially.
Can't say officially, but maybe. You can also learn about prompting documentation and like read that all. We've done a lot of like I've spent like the last month revamping a lot of the documentation, including prompting. So check that out. It really does have everything you need for like learning the basics. And then of course, if you're not you can configure your AI settings here. So yeah. I guess what should we start with first, Corey? I guess personas? That
Maybe, yeah.
start? Okay. So when you go into the plus new, you'll notice that there are a few other a few new options. We have model collections, default prompts, and personas. So I like to think, so we're going to create a new persona. I like to think of personas as kind of like, you know how like in GPT you have like memory, and the memory feature kind of like, I don't know, like it reminded you of like your name, or you kind of like AI kind of knew a few things and had a bit of context. But obviously you want to be able to control that context that the AI had. You don't want it just remembering your random like chat 5 weeks ago where you were like looking at recipes when you're writing your story and that kind of thing. So personas are a great way of like adding in information that you want to be seen across all of your stories, and like your different prompt types as well. So you have kind of three parts, so or four parts. There's your name, like what you want to name your persona. So what should we make a persona for, Corey?
You might want to make like a persona for, say, a particular work that you're currently, focused on, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, if we were doing like a series, we could do that. Um, and like say we had a pen name across a few series related to that story. I guess we could do that as well. So, um, so you could do things like that in the personas. You basically anything that you would put in a global codex entry, but you would also have across multiple works. So yeah, like Andrew's saying, I personas for each of my pen names. So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, let's make a persona for Kate. What should we put? And then I'm going to select a novel or series. I'm going to go for in the series my stream novels. Um, so I'm going to have this as a workshop chat persona, and um, an author and educator. I but with yeah, absolutely. So you could have
Yeah.
a persona for say if you wanted. So let's take this. We'll go. Okay, so we've got Kate. Let's have a new persona. Um, formatting. Um, whenever we are brainstorming characters, please format their output in. Please format in the following style: name, description, name to description two. So we could
Yeah.
do
Because
that
it,
kind of
it
thing.
it makes it so easy if it's being presented to you in exactly the same way every time. So
Yeah. And also makes it great for extracting, y'all. So yeah, okay, so Neural Supply said I created a chat prompt that randomly inserted what a time to be alive to see the persona in effect. Yeah, so you could have just even the personas you start every message. So let's add that to the workshop chat, and then let's add a new persona of start every message with Shorehen, and we can see if that works later. We'll keep these all on. Um, but yeah, personas they can be edited. You can see the history and go back to different versions, like you can with scene summaries or prose or prompts. You can clone personas. You can copy to clipboard for sharing. So say if you wrote with a persona and or like a pen name that you shared with someone else, it might be that you want to share the persona. Um, personas are like attached to your account. So if you share a prompt, personas aren't shared with it. They're kind of like personal to you. But you can choose the scope as to which they apply. Um, I think that all makes sense. But yeah,
mhm.
you can choose which type of beats because it might be that you don't want to start all of your scene beats with "Hey Hen" or whatever. Yeah, start every new message with "I have a bad feeling about this." it's also something, if you just want to inject a bit of fun, or you want the AI to always take a certain personality, that kind of stuff. Okay, so next, I think we'll go nearest in alphabetical order. So we're going to have a little look at what if you've got a prompt. Yeah, so personas input the instructions. So let's go into the workshop chat. We'll go to the system prompt. And in the advanced tab, you can kind of preview stuff. So you can see here that the personas apply into the prompt every time we go. So can you give an example of how it affects text replacement and scene beat completion? Yeah, sure. Let me just grab my Novelcrafter. I'm just going to get one of the presets I've already made. Personas, rather. Square bracket clarification. So if I go create from clipboard, allow, and then I'm going to add this to my library. Square bracket clarification. So take note of extra instructions contained within square brackets. These will have directions and guidance on how to write or let your creativity flow. They can look something like this. And then I could put this on text replacement prompts.
Yep.
And this will then mean it's kind of reminding the AI of what square brackets do. For scene beat completion, it might be something more like, say if you're writing non-fiction, you might have some guidelines for non-fiction within that. What other examples can you think of, Corey?
Yeah, so like if you're also writing, like, say, as part of a team, like maybe you're working on documentation or a shared story or something like that, everybody could be using that same persona, so that there's consistency amongst the team.
Yeah. So personas are so if you don't select a project, they are always included in the type of prompt here.
Mhm.
However, you can choose to have them series applied or novel. So they only apply to one novel, but all prompts when you're writing that novel. So you could have like a series where you have your pen name prompt, and you select the series that pen name shows. But if we go back into the general chat now, when you first go in, you may notice that we have the interface looks a little bit different here. So instead of kind of like our instructions and then the description, we've got general instructions and advanced, and description if you're doing your own prompt. And do you ever find that when you are writing, you find that you've got like the same tweaks that you want to add to a prompt? Like, say, let's go scene beats. Actually, I think that might give a better view. It might be that you always want to give a certain word count, that kind of thing. So if we go, I'll answer the question in a sec. New preset, we can now see, okay, so what are all these things that we can add? So if we click add words, you can now in one click be like, okay, well, how many words do we want to add to our story? So say when we write, we always add 600 words or around there. We always use Sonnet 3.7. We call this our prose generation. We want to add in some additional instructions. So say we have we want to keep a light bouncy tone, short sentences, and simple language. And it might be that, say, obviously I've got no context here, but it may be that we always have a snippet that has like our writing instructions in, or a codex, that kind of thing. So we've got our prose
Yep.
generation. And let's now take a look and see how this kind of like shows up in a novel. So if we go into my stream novel, I'll just open up a blank chapter. Scene beat. Now, if we click on the down arrow, you can see that we have our prose generation preset here. So if we click on this, you can see it's gone to 600. If we click on the little arrow, or the little, pen icon, you can see it opens up and we've got the instructions have been pre-populated. We can now add in our extra context. So maybe say our codex entries, I want to add in so that the theme is included. I can then go on to presets and update the preset. And then when we preview the prompt, you can see that the instructions are there. We have all the codex entries. We have 600 words. Obviously, the message for the prompt is empty, so we can't write anything yet. So I'm going to put here Delilah and Kira argue about where Kira ran off to, and then you could click your prose button. Oh, Michael, that's very sweet of you. And so your presets then are here every time, and you don't have to make those changes. So kind of think of it as way like it's a bit like custom prompting, but without having to like go into any interfaces or like into any of the actual prompt. You can just kind of edit things as you go, and like you always have this to come back to. But what if you always want to use this preset? You're like, okay, this is the preset for me. I know what I want. I never deviate from things. You know, I'm sure we've all been there at some point. Well, we have default prompts now. It is something that everyone has been like, we've had so many requests and now we have them. And not just a default prompt for your account, but also series or novel specific defaults. So if, say, you write in 2 different pen names or 5 different pen names and you want some prompts for these ones and some prompts for those, or you write nonfiction and fiction, you don't have to be tied down to one default prompt. So say we're going to go specific project, and I'm going to select, say, my my stream novels. Now this prompt, this project association, you do have to like, you can't go back and change after, so you'd have to redo the default. However, you know, we've set our specific project, the stream novels, and now we can set defaults for scene beats, summarization, and chat. Obviously, text replacement prompts aren't there because when you highlight text, you then select the prompt, so you can make a preset for that. You don't, a prompt doesn't automatically apply the moment you highlight text. That wouldn't make sense. It would mean if you were trying to underline something, a text replacement prompt would suddenly apply to it, and you'd be like, okay, excuse me, what is that? So, say our scene beat completion, we want to stick our prose generation prompt here. For summarization, we can choose a model because we only have one summarization prompt. For chat, it might be that, okay, well, I like to use the general chat prompt, but I always use Sonnet 3.7. So I'm going to have that there. So if we go into our stream series, stream novels, and then I click on which one? I mean, it literally doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm looking so hard. Okay. So we have here a blank story. We're going to put a new scene in it, / beat. Okay, and now we can see instantly, instead of the general purpose prompt, which had 400 selected, we have our theme document, we have Sonnet 3.7, and you can see default prompt, prose generation. This is our one. If we go into chat, Now, you might notice interface change. Okay, what is going on? So we have, instead of having everything at the top, we're now kind of aligning a little bit more with kind of how you see it in a lot of other chat bots and stuff, where you kind of select your model. See, you can see it here, general chat 3.7. So we've not got GPT 4.0 mini. And we also have our context here. So everything that we could need to tweak is all included in one place. So we can still click the AI sparkles to change the prompt if we need to. If we want to go back to Drunk Claude, thought analysis, or anything like that, Snowflake method. If we want to change the model, we can still just click on the model and make tweaks. And now, if we want to add context, we can add so much more than what we had before. So we've still got the full novel text and the full novel outline, and we've got scenes, but we also have chapters and acts and codex entries. And we can also add codex entries by type. So say if you're like, okay, well, I want to make a plot that has all of my characters in. No more making a characters entry. You can just go plunk and all your character entries are there. And then get rid of them again just as easily with one click. You can add add entries by detail. So anything that has any women we want to add, or any protagonists we want to add. Obviously, you can see here that we have none with these presets in at the moment, so that's fine. If I go to a novel that's a little bit more populated, we can see this context in a bit more detail. So you can see that we've got our different acts, scenes, snippets. So you can add a snippet as well. So here we have the novel clock structure. So if you wanted to add that, or, we could have it as a preset. Yeah. Is there anything I've missed with that stuff? I know I've kind of gone through it quite quickly. We've gone through.
I think one thing is like our kind of the general philosophy that was guiding this is, we had a small fraction of users that never changed the system prompts, never touch prompting, and we had a small number of users that were like just going nuts on prompting and making
Yeah.
like really amazing things. But then we had the vast majority of users that just needed something specific. They needed to maybe steer something a little bit, or they needed 500 words or 1,000 words, and they would have to write a custom prompt before to do that. But like now with presets, you don't have to worry about the prompting language. Like
Yeah.
like Angie said, she's a writer, not a coder. So it makes it, we kind of we kind of made it so that for most people, you don't necessarily need to ever worry about the details of prompts. So
Yeah. I think, yeah. And then, like, that in combination with being able to add in whatever context you want, it saves you having to then, again, doing custom content, custom prompting. But if you decide that you do want to do custom prompting, it might be that you can start looking in it and like making these different tweaks yourself, and it's a little bit less intimidating, because you have the option of just using the additional instructions to kind of help you along. So Dragon Loft says entries by type. So that so we have entries by category, which would be your nose. So let me make a custom category. And say we have Max is absolutely a and so if I need to add in we have Max is a dragon. Claude is absolutely a dragon. So now if we go into context, entries by category, new dragons, 2 entries. So yes. So entries by type is like the new entry types. Like character, location, object, lore. By category is what you're thinking about, so by custom category. You can also do it by tag. So if you have things tagged by dragon but don't have new dragon, that works. And likewise by detail. So yes, all of that is indeed available. Yeah. Okay. So we've had our default prompts that we've set. We've had a little look at personas and putting them in. We've not yet looked at applying everything and seeing it in action, but we're going to do that with our own prompt in a few minutes. We've had a look at personas and presets, so ways of kind of tweaking. And you can see here we have a little preset icon next to it. We can do this for any prompt, so it's not just the system prompts. If you make your own prompt, you can also have presets for that. Say if you had like 2 different variations. So yeah, and then if we go on this plus icon, you can see that there was one other thing there. Model collections. So let's take a look and see how this is. So you can see that we've already got 4 up here: default chat models, default summarization, default text replacements, and default writing models. These are basically the same as what we currently have. However, by making your own model collections, you can append these 2 prompts, both the system prompts and your own prompts, and kind of use them as like an override, kind of. So if there are only a few models that you use, you can really easily like kind of get them sorted. So okay, let's have a think. What does Kate like to write with? Let's go for my favorite, Claude 3.7 Sonnet Beta. I don't change any parameters. That's fine. I also like to use Gemini 2.5. Not necessarily for prose generation, but in general, I'm just going to put my favorite models out there. What else should I add, Corey?
Do you have a favorite, like, not safe for work model that you use?
Ooh. That's interesting. I don't know if it's like not safe for work, but I've been quite enjoying Quen recently as a free model. Like it's surprisingly good. I just need to find the right one, 32B. So I might put that there. Yeah. Okay, so say we've got these. And then we go to our general chat. I meant to clean up my prompts before this update. That has not happened, as we can all see. You can see now that, okay, Command R plus. Okay, I'll add that in. Command R plus. And I'll call this. Okay, yeah, neural splices Quen 3. Yeah, Quen is so good. Like I was really impressed with the tests I was doing with it. Like especially for like, you know, the smaller versions of it. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like we want to be able to tweak the system prompts. Like it may be that, you know, you just want to add some writing rules and you can now do this really, really easily. So we're going to go general chat. We now have our presets. We have the models. So this is where we want to look. So we're going to now attach a collection, Kate's models. So we've got this collected, attached. You can detach it if you want to, but obviously we're not going to do that. But also, if you go into Kate's models, you can now see all the prompts and presets that model collection is attached to. And it means that when a new model comes out, you can just add it and then it automatically gets added to all of the prompts associated with that collection. And if we go into chat and general chat, you can see now only the 4 models that we selected in the that we've added are now showing. So it kind of also saves a lot of real estate and saves you from having to scroll through everything, which is another great way of just kind of getting things done, keeping everything going. Okay, let's look at my checklist. Okay, we've done personas, we've done presets, we've done model collections, we've done defaults. So there is a prompt sharing upgrade in the sense of you see more. Let me just find, where is my Claude So I'm going to take a Claude prompt, a drunk Claude prompt that I've been developing on the test. So here we can see, okay, so drunk Claude 2.1. You can see that no presets have been created. You can see the models that I've attached to it prior to sending. So obviously you can change these, but you can see the models that the creator of the prompt has kind of been using. You could see that it is a workshop chat prompt and that you can allow this to be moderated, i.e. you can use like GPT with this. You can see the instructions, and we'll, look at this a little bit later. But you can also see in the advanced tab different things that are then going to go into the inputs, so say when you're making your own preset. So let's add this to the library. We have our drunk Claude, and I'm just going to ignore. So this is I'm pointing to it, and I realize you can't like literally here. You can see that we have the inputs, but we also have this like preview here that shows the inputs in like the more user-friendly how it looks in your interface. So let's go into chat and open up Drunk Claude 2.1. We've now opened up a modal, and this modal is going to let us select a bunch of different things. So we obviously need some writing to analyze. So let's say we're actually going to want the entirety of Act 1 analyzed by Drunk Claude. And now these are entirely for fun. You can choose what drinks Claude has and how tipsy he is. That is purely for aesthetics. It's a bit of fun. You can choose what you want analyzing. So pacing, dialogue, character, purpose. That's something that you can do with this. And we'll go a bit into this when we do our like work in progress. We have this tick box, additional details. What does that do? This then adds additional context. So if you want to give more instructions, you can do that there. And also, you may notice this memory cutoff. Oh, I wonder what that is. I wonder what other thing has been requested. I wonder what happens if we have a 100-message chat now. Sorry, I was too happy about that. So yeah, you can be like, okay, well, I want it to remember the last 64 messages or message pairs. So that's the last 128. Yep, you can include multiple. So scenes. Okay, I want scene 2. And then I also want chapter 7, scene 8. Or you could add in, So yeah. You can do multiple selections. You can't select multiple levels of drunk. But, so we've got this. And then you can send your messages and add it in, and it kind of all sets up really nicely. So yeah, that is a hell of a lot of fun. So this is kind of like a little teaser into inputs. Now, it may be that for what you want to do, you don't need lots of multiple choice. This is kind of a little bit excessive, in the sense of I was doing this just to test things out. However, it is also a hell of a lot of fun. And they essentially, say if we go to drunkenness, you can see that we have different things that can be allowed. So I have this little drop down that set the level of drunkenness. But you could have, say, okay, no, actually, let's go and make our own prompt. Okay, guys, I've seen this right. Let's start with a new prompt. Now, I always like to start a prompt with cloning a system prompt, mainly because it saves me slight effort. So we're going to do this.
It's all about saving the slight effort.
It is all about saving the slightest effort. So we're going to call this Brainstorming 101. And what I want is a prompt that can help me brainstorm, but that has different modes depending on what I'm wanting to brainstorm. So let's add in an input. You can see here, it's not getting used by the prompt because we've not added it in yet. We're kind of setting things up, and I will kind of walk through. But let's have a look at brainstorm type. I'm not going to allow multiple options being selected. I'm going to say, yes, it has to be filled in. because we're brainstorming. Like, what are you using the prompt for if you're not picking something to brainstorm? um, and then we want custom content. I'm going to get rid of text and have only a drop down. Okay, so let's think. Corey, what kind of things would we want to brainstorm?
Maybe pacing.
Okay, we might have characters we want to brainstorm.
Mm,
Um, we could have locations.
Maybe something like cliffhangers.
Okay, and one more just to kind of set this up.
How about dialogue?
Yes. Okay, dialogue. So we've got these. And it might be that, okay, well, we're telling the AI that we want to brainstorm these things, but it's like, well, what does it know about pacing or characters or locations? It's funny, I bet that's because of the lag. Things have been suggested. Um, okay, so which one should we expand upon?
How about characters?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're going to open up characters. This description here, you notice that you've got the little AI sparkles here and the non-AI sparkles, or no AI sparkles, the absence of sparkle. This is a description. So, brains for when you want to brainstorm locations. Don't worry, we are working on things constantly. Just give us a break. Like we need to have a weekend off first. um okay, content. So when brains and we're doing characters, not locations. I think it's because I was reading Angie's comment. Sans sparkle. I like that. Sans sparkle. I will go with that. For our story. Um, we want to let's I think, and then you can also do like bullet points. That was just an asterisk and space, so you can like put in your formatting. We want to avoid using stereotypes or common trends. Who needs I need sleep. What else should we put in, Corey?
Um,
Hmm.
Anything here that like for example, like for me, I'm guilty of not necessarily paying too close attention to like the emotions of characters. So like if there are things that that you know need to work on, like when you're brainstorming characters, that's the sort
Yeah.
of thing that you can put in here.
Um, yeah. Everything here for strawberry milk you can have for scene beat completion, summarization, text replacements.
Yep.
You can have these drop downs for everything. So maybe let's just say this is what we want. So we're going to close this. Don't worry, it saves. And now we have this drop down, and we're going to go. So it may be that when you've done components, you might have seen this. So I'm going to open it up, and then so we know this is called brainstorm type. And then I'm now going to go into the instructions, and then I'm just going to put here open squiggly brackets, input, and then put in brainstorm type. That is it. And then when we go into advanced, you can now see that brainstorm type has appeared in our little preview window. And now if I select characters, have a little look up here at lines like 3. You can now see that we've added in the instructions. But if we change it to pacing, you can just see it says pacing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a way of using the drop down to kind of tweak what you want. So say we've got brainstorming 101. let's add a model. Let's add my model collection just so we've got it. And then we go into chat. What I call brainstorming 101. I'm going to go characters and Command R plus. You can see that it's put everything in, but we can still change our characters to pacing or dialogue. So as you're chatting with your prompt, you can kind of keep going and developing what you have. Let's also, let's just search for it. That'll make it easier. For the characters, can you add in formatting so it extracts correctly? So that was why I, earlier in the session, I did the persona being like formatting. Please use this format. I might actually highlight that and put it in XML as an example. And so we have this present in our workshop chat prompts. So that's a way of giving formatting. Or you could also do it in the prompt and ask for that kind of formatting as well. Okay, what should we what else should we kind of add in and tweak into our brainstorming 101? Obviously we could add more like into more detail about the brainstorm type, but we're kind of leaving that for now because I hope you get the idea. Maybe say we have a preset. We're going to make a preset for characters because we know that character brainstorming is what we do the most. You can still get writing done, Mrs. D. You just make the right. You're just doing it via testing out writing prompts. You know, make sure your scene beat completion ones are the ones you're testing, and then
it's
it
all
all works
valid.
out, right? Yeah. Okay, so we've got our character brainstorming preset made. So let's go into chat. I'm going to go to character brainstorming. Click on that. Everything is put in. So I would like to brainstorm some more animals that fit into our story. We have Max and Claude. Exactly, words are words. So you're even if you're testing out a prompt, maybe you're testing out things and then writing the things you want. So I'm kind of wondering now how much different stuff's going to get brought in. So let's send this. Okay, first of all, Shorehen. That is the persona that we were working on. You will notice that these animals, so the format is perfect now for extracting. We've got it in exactly the same format. I mean, I love that it just was like, yep.
I was waiting for you to do a chat and seeing that come up. So
I know. I was waiting as well. I was like, oh, is he gonna do it? And it's like, yep,
it's going to
no.
be very,
It
it
was like,
was,
yeah,
yeah,
sure, Hen, we can do this. Yeah,
very satisfying to see that pop up.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that Duchess, a retired police horse who now lives near the station and serves as a neighborhood watch. Nothing escapes her notice, and she maintains an elaborate network of bird informants. Has aristocratic British accent and refers to herself in the third person.
Of
Wow.
course.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't she? I'm not sure if it's quite gone with this. It seems to have done a few stereotypes, but on the other hand, it's a horse. So what stereotypes are there with horses that are called Duchess? Oh my god, a lab rat who now lives in the walls secretly helping cases by examining evidence overnight. Extremely intelligent but paranoid. Speaks in complex scientific terminology. It's like Ratatouille, but a scientist. This makes me want to go back and write this story. Marbles, a one-eyed rescue pigeon who delivers messages between animal informants. Terrible sense of direction, but somehow always arrives eventually. Claims to have been a military carrier pigeon, but his stories keep changing. Speaks with a tough Brooklyn accent. Um. Oh, I mean, these are great, but you can see here. So our preset has worked. Our model collection has meant that, and default model has given us our, setup. We've seen how the personas have applied to the formatting and to the greeting. We've seen how our custom prompt can work in action. So yeah, I think that's pretty darn cool. Does anyone have any questions? So we've got 10 minutes left. I think this is probably the right time to be like, okay, guys, hit us with your questions. I'm sure you've got some. There's probably things that we've not covered in enough detail, but obviously we have an hour, and I've got a pizza date, so we can't do a
Priorities.
5-hour stream, unfortunately. So yeah, what question do you all have? Any questions? Oh my god, 63 people as well. Like, I think this is the busiest we've ever been.
Yep.
Thank you so much for sharing, and I hope that you've kind of got a little taster of this, because I think this is only like the iceberg. The stuff you can do is so cool. Okay, bulk paste prompts. So currently, I don't think you can bulk paste at the moment. That might be something coming in the future, but yeah. Okay, so forgive my slowness, but do these updates include an easy way to write custom prompt easy without going to the system prompt? Yeah, so if you want to do your own, that was what I was saying with the preset. So if you went into the general workshop, say we've got our general chat, we want to make a preset and we want to include some more instructions. You can just type them out here. You don't need to go into the instructions. You just want to be oh, you can bulk paste. My bad. I've never done it myself. I guess because I don't bulk copy. How do you bulk copy? Actually, now I'm wondering. Oh, a full page of clipboard prompts. Okay. I was going to say, I was like, how do you copy more than one thing at once? But okay, yeah. If you've got a page full of clipboard prompts, you can copy and paste them all at once. Right, that makes sense. Thank you, Space, for that clarification. I was just like, I don't think my computer can bulk copy. What's going on? Yeah. But to the question, Robert's question, yeah. So you can just type in whatever you want. So if you wanted to use a framework, say you had like you were doing romancing the beat, you could be like, you're an expert in romance, you want to do this. This is the framework you always work towards at the end. These are the types of characters, yada yada yada. You can just plonk it all in here as text, essentially.
Mrs. D asked, "What's our favorite functions?"
Oh my god.
I mean, the obvious one is input, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
But
inputs.
I've had so much fun just not even writing any prompting, just using presets, seeing how
Yeah.
far presets can push the envelope. And that's what's just been a joy the last month of testing.
Yeah, it's yeah, no, it's so much fun. The presets, what do I like? I mean, I love being able to just like select inputs and do your writing, just have everything there. How do we use I don't see how to select in chat the developmental editor. So it should be there. You should just be able to, so if you click on the sparkles, I don't know if it's gonna be, we're gonna put this in the prompt hub eventually, but yeah, the developmental editor, you can select the kind of feedback you want. So pacing, I'm writing a cozy fantasy, say, and then add in like, I don't know, my chapter 1. I don't think I've actually got anything in, but you can do that and just say then look at this chapter or analyze this chapter or something. So that's to Todd's question. I'm gonna add in, like, we're gonna edit the prompt. This was kind of like a proof of concept prompt, but yeah. I think oh, neural splice, multiple pin panels. Yes, absolutely, that is something we should show. So say you are editing your Claude character, but you also want to look at the plot, but you also want to look at your chat. So we can split the chat to the right. We can then move into the plan. And we've got everything. But what if like we're looking at Claude, but we're also wanting to develop Max along the same time? We can go add, boink, and just add everything all together. It is so much fun. Just having, I mean, obviously you can go too far and like have too many things and you can't see, and you do need a bigger screen for this to be visible, but the only limit is like what your screen can physically show. Like it's up to your device. And if you really need more, you can always like, I don't know, like zoom out. So say if I zoom out to this unreadable, godforsaken amount, and I just start adding in a ridiculous amount of you can add them all in. Can you read it? No. But you can see it. So now if I go back in, obviously these are all now a little bit squished. So, but you can also move them like left to right. Yeah, move everything around. So it all works well. On a widescreen monitor, beautiful.
Yep.
Dank says I need a bigger screen. Yeah, we all need a bigger screen. That is the permanent issue. But it is so much fun. I mean, if you have multiple monitors, why don't you just like set them up so it expands the screen? So the screen is expanded over both monitors, and then you can have Novelcrafter open in one tab across both monitors. And then you can have like your right interface on one monitor and then all your snippets and stuff on the other. That's how I would do that if I had two monitors. Like do display expanding. Display, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. No, this is not only for workshop. All of this is for everything, Pycon. You have the exact same options for any prompt that you're doing. So say we had the writing, we made the prose generation preset. We can set models for that. We can attach model collections. We can set our defaults. So another thing for defaults, you have 3 tiers essentially. So you have your account default. However, your account default can be overridden by a series default. And then the series default can be overridden by your novel default. So you get that kind of fine level control, but then you have like your main default set. So that works well. Strawberry says that they're excited for the prompt sharing hub. I am as well. We've been uploading, like getting prompts ready and stuff. So once people, so it's going to be to start with a bit of a curated hub. So people can kind of submit their prompt essentially, and that's just because we're kind of for practicality reasons and to stop things getting kind of a little bit out of control. So there'll be like a form that you can like submit your prompt and then we'll upload it and things. And we're going to do like collections as well of prompts so that you can kind of see prompts that work together. Or it might be like, okay, well, you want to download Kate's prompts or Corey's prompts or prompts for plotting or analysis, but you don't want everything. So you can kind of like play around with that. Oh, you're very welcome. Like we love what we're doing, and it's been so much fun to make this update. And I am so happy to see this now live. I can't wait to start playing with it. Like I am gonna be like this week, like transferring all my prompts over, making them up, making them new. Getting everything sorted. It's gonna be but I would say do the ones that you use first, and like just as you come along them, then update or change. Like just have fun. Don't let this distract if you don't want it to. Just keep following your process and find a way to make this update work for you. And like we have got the auto migrate, so you can like migrate things over to the new language. We have lots of documentation. Let me open up. So if I go boop, place show screen sharing. So we have the Novelcrafter help page. If we go documentation, and we go down to prompts. So we've got like our prompting terms, personas, presets, model collections, defaults. Say if we wanted to go into like inputs, you can see here we've got like how they're set out, how to make a prompt input, and there's like pictures in the instructions. So you should be able to see, you know, kind of everything that you want. Here we have an example of setting up, like for genre, if you wanted to add a genre thing, instructions, tabs, um, single word replacements, um, options, selections based on options. If we wanted to add, you know, the various things. So check out the documentation. Trust me, like that will, your questions will mostly get answered there. Like we've spent a lot of time, like as we've developed new features, adding in documentation for those features. Um, we've also updated the codex section to include all like the prompt detail kind of things. So yeah, like check that out. I'll put a link in the description just so there's a link already in the description, but you know, also use this, guys. Um, yeah. Um, Corey, do you have any things to say? Um,
No, but I think people are going to be busy this weekend.
yeah. This is suddenly we're just gonna find like everyone is like on chat. I can't wait to see the new prompts that you guys come up with. Like, so if you go on the Discord, it's linked in the description. There's a prompt sharing channel there until the prompt hub comes about. And you can upload your prompts there, share them. People, you know, it's a great community for like, you know, sharing everything. And like, I can't wait for seeing what you all come up with. Oh, you're welcome, Angie. Thank you everyone who's tested it as well. Like our early access program, like was so helpful in giving like feedback and bug hunting. We did a lot of bug hunting and fixing and like developing of stuff, and it's just been such a pleasure. This entire experience. I think we're all exhausted now, but we're looking forward to what comes next. Oh, absolutely! I can't wait to see what bonkers prompts people come up with. Like there were some bonkers prompts before, like in terms of how complicated they were. They were amazing, but like it'd be interesting. I can't wait to see. Um, yes, happy Mother's Day to all the Americans out there. That is, yeah, that's. I always find it weird that Father's Day is the same, but Mother's Day isn't. We're all weird, but yes. Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, I guess so I'm not here next week. I'll be here. Well, sorry, I'm here Wednesday. So we'll do the Wednesday stream, and I think a lot of that will end up dealing with questions. So if you have any questions that you want to kind of see live answered, if you come to the Wednesday session or like drop me a question either in the comments or whatever, I'll do my best to kind of spend Wednesday answering questions related to this. I think that would be the best way of doing it. So yeah, if you submit your questions to us, we can then spend Wednesdays live going over it all. Yeah. Okay, and breathe. Um you think you need a swimming prompt? Oh, well, at least you won't have too many things to unlearn. The Hopefully this will streamline and make things more simple. Like that was the overall aim for this. Um, so yeah. If you drop your questions and let us know on Wednesday, we're gonna do a comprehensive dive through it all. I'll probably also develop some of my prompts and kind of yeah, we'll do a big old prompting hub. But yes. Uh, so yeah, I will see you all in on Wednesday. Have a very busy weekend and happy prompting. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.